Hey, okay. So, first of all, hi. I hope you guys are having a really good day. I wanted to talk to y'all about something. First of all, on my video that was against the narcissistic being self-aware, being a scam, I got this comment, and the comment from the individual said, well, I like watching self-aware narcissists because what better way to learn how to swim than from someone who knows how to swim? I think you're pretty bitter, kind of. What? You're an idiot. So, my response to that would be, what faster way to drown than to get into unknown deep waters with a shark who would love nothing more than to help you drown so he can eat your ass. Okay, now that that's taken care of, let's get into the story though. This is a true story that happened this year, earlier this year. So, try to get the whole story to you, and I'm going to, as I'm telling you what happened, I'm going to try and parallel that with what narcissists do the best way I can. So, when I first moved here almost 4 years ago, I became friends with my neighbor here. She was an older woman, not that much older. She was only in her mid to late 60s, and her name was Miss Grace, right? Now, Miss Grace had a brother who lived with her named Mr. Charles. And Mr. Charles is one of them ones. He's an abusive person. Nobody liked his ass. And he was basically living off of his sister, Miss Grace, right? And um, across from them lives a prostitute, like a actual prostitute. I'm gonna give her a Miss, even though she doesn't deserve it. Name, I'm just gonna call her Diane. Fuck Miss. Named Diane, right? Now Diane and Miss Grace's brother, Mr. Charles, used to be engaged, but according to his story, when he found out she was a prostitute, he did not marry her. Yet they all lived on my floor, directly across from each other. And of course, like a narc usually does, after they shit on the person that they used to be with, they still sneak around to have sex with them. So I would catch him sneaking in and out of Diane's apartment, and sometimes Diane would sneak in and out of Grace's apartment. So this is what happened. Grace, again, was wheelchair bound. Not a motorized wheelchair, one that you have to like maneuver with your arms. She wasn't able to go out and grocery shop for herself. Sometimes I would grocery shop for her. Actually, often I would grocery shop for her. Even though she lives with an able-bodied man that roamed the streets all day, every day, from early morning to night, he would never find it in his heart to get groceries. Even though she would cook in her wheelchair, like face level, she would still cook. And he was sure there to eat and lay his head down for free. So, because Grace and I went to church together, the church is located in our building because it's for the older residents. So we were church mates, and as I got to know her, I started learning more and more that she was being used and abused by her brother, Charles, right? Especially when she would ask me to help her put her wallet inside of her church hat, which she divulged to me that she also sleeps in because he would steal money from rummaging through her things to steal money to pay the prostitute and to do drugs and things like that. So she would sleep with her wallet hidden in a hat that she had to wear on her head in the living room where her bed was, because she gave him the bedroom. It was a one-bedroom apartment. Sound familiar? Did you give the narc the best of everything you had while kind of taking less then? Okay. So, and did they steal from you, of course? Did you ever hide your wallet? Because I know I used to hide mine in my pillowcase and still be freaked out that I would fall asleep too hard and he'd eventually rummage through that pillowcase and find my wallet and house keys, by the way. I had both. Anyway, so Fast forwarding, so one day, Grace, um, and Mr. Charles, you could hear like all this commotion in their apartment or whatever. And I was out in the hallway talking to another neighbor that popped up at my house or at my door or whatever. And we're like, what the hell is going on there? All you see is Mrs. Grace's door open and her hands come out to try to pull herself with her wheelchair. And she pulled the wheelchair halfway out of the door. And she yells, call the police. Now, why does she need the police called? Because apparently he had been abusing her and she'd been hiding it. She'd been hiding it because she cared so much for him because he's her brother, right? He's still a narcissistic, abusive piece of trashy shit. But she thought that she was going to be able to help him out, right? So apparently that day that she asked us to call the police, we did, because he had taken cans of food, full closed cans of food, corn, peas, beets, whatever. And he was beaming them at her ankles and feet and busted out her ankles, right? They didn't break, but they weren't useful. And I know she couldn't really walk, but she could stand up just enough to get to like a bathroom. But in this case, he made sure she couldn't do that by busting out her ankles with cans of food. When the police came, they went in, and of course me and the neighbor stayed in the hallway to make sure everything was fine. And the police came out chuckling, and we're looking at each other like, what? And they go, oh, everything's fine. She said it's just a random argument between two siblings, no abuse. And we're like, why did she lie to them? Why didn't she tell them the truth, right? Have you ever failed to divulge the truth to your peers and neighbors and friends just so you could protect the narc? I know I'm guilty of it. I know I'm guilty of that. When people used to be like, why do I see him skateboarding all day? He's not working. He doesn't do this. It looks like you're always struggling by yourself with the kids. It looks like you're always doing this by yourself. And I would be like, oh no, he's trying. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's fine. And it's not fucking fine. So Grace goes back into the apartment with the lie that she told the police to protect this abuser that lives with her for free. And what happens? The abuse gets even worse. Of course it does. It always does, right? Especially when they know you'll take up for them because they know how much you love them. So fast forward some more. Miss Grace knows that he's on drugs, and she believes that prayer, and I'm not saying prayer doesn't work. I'm a firm believer in prayer and God, right? The thing about prayer, though, is you can pray for someone to change, but unless they want to do it, it's not going to happen. You have to pray to get out of that situation. So I digress because I know a lot of people are going to find that to be difficult to accept, but it is true. So anyway, so Diane, remember, this is the prostitute, okay? They all grew up together, Miss Grace, Diane, and her brother Charles. So they've been knowing each other for a double-digit number of years, and now they're neighbors. Diane sneaks in and out of Miss Grace's apartment to visit Charles, right? Toxic as fuck. How many times have you had to, or have been placed in a position to deal with your ex-narc's toxic-ass friends, right? Toxic as fuck. But somehow they frequent your apartment because they're visiting another toxic motherfucker that you happen to be in a relationship with. So because of this, Diane, the prostitute, she gets and contracts the coronavirus. Now, let me give you some advice, or some information, sorry, not advice, on Miss Grace. Miss Grace sometimes needed a breathing device and oxygen delivered to her home so that she could sleep. She was kind of a heavyset woman, but she needed oxygen or whatever, right? On occasion, not all the time. So Diane contracts the coronavirus. Diane is invited over there by her Grace's brother Charles. Diane comes over there purposefully without a mask, and guess what? Charles doesn't catch it. Diane knows she has it, and Grace ends up contracting the coronavirus. In less than a month and a half, I get a phone call because I'm on the Tenants Association, from another member of the Tenants Association, because they knew that me and Grace were friends and we all went to church together. They called me to let me know that Grace is dead. She has died alone in the hospital by herself. Why? From contracting a virus from Charles's prostitute ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance, who shouldn't have been in there anyway. Toxic as fuck. So now, Grace is dead. Let's just put that out there. And Charles and Diane start fighting. Now, how many times have you noticed that the narc and his viper-ass snake pit of friends start biting each other on the backs now that you're no longer in the picture? Because they have nobody else to throw cans at and break their bones up, or blame, or abuse, or make cook for them, or take care of them. So now they have to put that energy on each other. And that's what happened. Charles started blaming Diane for killing Grace with the coronavirus. Diane started blaming Charles for being the abusive fuck, and then they started beefing, and the whole building knew about the shit. The whole neighborhood was talking about that shit, right? Then Charles, he had to move within 14 days. Why? Because Grace was smart enough at least to not put him on the lease, which means you have 14 days if something happens to that lease owner to get the fuck out, get your shit and get out. And he was crying. I heard him crying in his apartment as I walked by. Now, why was he crying? You think he was crying because his sister was dead that took care of him? No. He was crying because he was depressed that he no longer had a victim to take care of him. He no longer had somebody to sit on. That person was now deceased from something that he helped do, right? So now I can't use you anymore. Now I have nowhere to go because I haven't done shit with my life. I don't have shit to my name. The narc never has shit to their name. When you leave, all hell breaks loose. They have to be responsible for themselves. Now they have to go find someone else to sponge off of, which they didn't expect you to go. So now it's really, the shit's really hitting the fan. That's why he cried, because there was no one to use anymore. Because Grace was finally dead. She finally died from overdosing on the bullshit. Overdosing on the abuse. This is my point. Because now guess what the prostitute's doing? Oh, she still lives here. Charles is gone. That apartment is vacant. It was inhabitable after he left because it was that dirty. And the prostitute still pops up in her little tight pants. Like, going hooking with dudes in and out of the apartment and shit. She didn't give a fuck, and she never once said, hey, did you hear about Miss Grace? I'm so sorry. What the fuck? So yes, my point is, you guys, Grace was told many times, to be honest with you, get rid of him. I know that's your brother, but he's got to go. He is beating you up. He's beating you up and robbing you, and he's got this hooker coming in and out, and everyone's watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? And she refused because she thought that she could change him through more love. If I just pour more of myself, if I just give him more love, if I don't let him get arrested, if I just keep letting him live here for free, if I just pray, everything's gonna be fine. I swear, I know it will. Which is such a good-hearted thing to do, but it's not gonna be fine, baby. And it wasn't. You can't love someone like that into submission. You can't. And Grace couldn't do it. And her body finally took the toll and died. And now everybody's fucked. Grace lost her life trying to help. Trying to help. And now the only reason that her brother's crying and sad is because he can't use her anymore because her body is in the ground. So yes, please, don't be that person that tries so hard to love someone into submission. It doesn't work. And please don't prematurely lose your life like my friend did this year. Prematurely. Because think that interacting with the narc and his friends and trying to show all this love and help and not telling them when they really deserve to be in jail is going to help them. It really just ended up killing her. So to that ignorant person that left that comment, sweetie, you don't learn how to swim from entertaining a narcissist. You just drown real fast. So my advice to you is, get it together. Good luck.